News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And whilst we have our program this morning, I'd just like to, all of you, to spare a thought for those people who've been affected by the floods yet again. It seems to be happening with alarming regularity, and I do wonder sometimes what can be realistically done. But we thought we'd start the morning off with a small clip before we get on with business.
Wake up everybody, no more sleeping in bed, no more backwards thinking, time for thinking ahead. The world has changed so very much from what it used to be. There's so much hatred, war and poverty. Wake up all the teachers, time to teach a new way. Maybe then they'll listen to what you have to say. They're the ones who's coming up, and the world is in their hands. When you teach the children, teach them the very best you can.
Unemployment is up to 4.6%. Aaron Wickramasinghe is out. Dr. Harsha De Silva is out. Ranil Wickramasinghe is out. His Excellency Maithripala Sirisena is out. And Richard is out. Keerthi Tennakoon is right here, and I'm here. Very good morning to you, Keerthi.
Very good morning.
Isn't that true? People need to wake up and take note of what's happening. The governor of the central bank must wake up from his slumber, because honestly, the goodwill is fast eroding. The governor comes from this illustrious family. He's a wonderful man, and he knows to play the game. But when it comes to the central bank, do you think, Keerthi Tennakoon, that the governor is being allowed to do his job?
We were delighted when he was appointed as the governor of the central bank at the very beginning. And we are the ones who campaigned for not to have the previous governor once again reappointed. And I think, at the very beginning, he did a fair bit of a very good job, I'll say. But here, the decisions has to be made, and the real leaders, real governors stick into their duty and do the job, whatever the hardships comes on. But here we are having a very fading hope especially when it comes to the microfinance and the other sectors. And where is the forensic audit, which we have talked about for such a long time?
Where indeed, where is the forensic audit? Governor Indrajit Kumaraswamy, please, can you give us a statement? Can you tell us when we will actually have it completed? It's been over 9 months now. What's happening?
I think, we are definitely receiving very contradictory messages. We are having very contradictory statistics. Now, the government for last 3 months continuously talks about the Enterprise Sri Lanka, the developments project, the investments, and so on. Here, in the other hand, we are having today papers saying unemployment up 4.6 in certain quarter.
But then they said that they've made, Harsha De Silva said 600,000 jobs. From where? Where are these jobs?
No, about the unemployment and all this, the various ministers are coming up with various statistics. Yeah. In Monaragala, during the Enterprise Sri Lanka program, 3 ministers said 3 different statistics on them. 1.1 million jobs, 1.6 million jobs, and they were saying within 18 months there will be around 1 million jobs.
But they're full of contradictions, Keerthi. Malik Samaravikrama is quoted in the press this morning saying that they need to look at bringing workers from Nepal and Myanmar. If we've got if they're creating 1 million jobs, are they creating 1 million jobs for other people?
Chinese, it seems, and
or is it for us?
This is the real issue, and the same paper it says if rupee value stabilize at 170, it will be satisfactory. I mean, what sort of economist and on what basis these sort of headlines are made on newspapers is our issue. Now, last week we saw that a news on 150 million has come into a bank account.
Of a minister.
Of a minister.
Yes.
And everyone is talking about this. No one.
But not in government.
Not in government, not in opposition in the same time.
Yeah,
it's a very fair understanding between the government and opposition when it comes to the come into this section. And shocking news, during the last 4 days, continuous reports are coming on the FCID officers one by one getting transferred out of the FCID. Where are we heading is the question.
If we will all cast our minds back to January 2015, when the Brigade of Good Governance came in, they had one political tool in their hand. They created they set up the FCID. Anyone who was anyone, absolutely anybody, made like a Perahara, they all trooped in and out of the FCID offices. It was in Carville Place, then he went on to Chatham Street, and there was a big tamasha. They had cars parked outside, they were
waiting.
The media was waiting, everything was happening. Yesterday I went in, it looked rather desolate. There were no media or cameramen outside there, no. On one memorable occasion I remember that we had a cameraman there the whole day. That was when we were expecting the questioning of Thirukumar Nadesan, and nothing. But today, as you say, Keerthi, Tennakoon, tell us what's happening to them.
I mean, during the last 4 or 5 days, we saw the very senior officials, very effective, very productive officers who were doing their job in a marvelous way, who has dig into the corruption charges. Indeed. Were one by one getting transferred out of the FCID. This trend was continuous for almost 9-10 months now. They were sidelined, they were given less responsibilities and all. The enthusiasts, the facilities were strapped, and all these these discomfortable situations at the FCID, I think now coming into a very logical end where, I mean, it's basically paralyzing day by day.
You forgot one thing. About half of the files that the FCID were working on were sent to something called the National Procurement Commission.
Definitely.
If you couple the sending of those files to the National Procurement Commission, where thereafter we've not heard anything about, and the fact that, like you say, that they're systematically dismantling the FCID by removing those capable and professional officers away from there, they have reduced the FCID to nothing other than...
Faraz, this is the very same way they scrapped the Secretariat. At the Secretariat, I mean, without the Anti-Corruption Secretariat, I don't think all these, the concerned the cases will be at least filed at any point. The officials were given, they were doing their best of the jobs, and they were capable of doing it. All the resources were pumped in, but gradually, when special cases, very concerned people were questioned and taken into the task, once again the political influence came on the Secretariat, and finally it was gradually closed down, not given facilities, but and all that. This is the exact same copy repeating on the FCID now.
And Keerthi, Tennakoon, these people, you get some clothes, some material, which is wash and go. Use it and chuck it away. And that's what's happened here. The Prime Minister, the Minister of Law and Order, what they've done is very simple, and it's very clear for all of us to see. They've used it as a political tool, achieved whatever they wanted to achieve, but there's no result. Colossal sums of monies have been spent here. They've sent officers all over the place, and then finally, when it comes to the final push, they leave the place the blame on the Attorney General's department or some other nonsense. But it's absolute nonsense.
Faraz, when it comes to basic investigation, I mean, success or the failure of the investigation lies on whether the indictments are saved or not. The issue here, how many real indictments are saved? Let's go back to the Special Presidential Commission on large-scale corruption cases. The report is there, the report is stable, nothing has happened. But the Bond Commission?
Indeed.
Where's the forensic audit that we were talking about? Where's the money? The Prime Minister said that some amount of money is down there, nothing to worry, don't worry, everything. But here, last February, end of February, the case was filed at the Colombo Magistrate Court. Not a single hearing has happened.
I want to come back to the monies on that bond issue, because it's very serious. But in the meantime, you know, the monies that was found to have been transferred directly to Hong Kong, it's around 26 million United States dollars. There has to be some earthly reason what happened to these monies. How did it get there? The investigation all of a sudden has just kind of disappeared. But let's remember, Keerthi Tennakoon, let's remember what happened in South Korea. From one of the world's poorer countries to the 4th largest Asian economy and the 11th largest in the world. But whilst economic prosperity was happening, the judiciary was becoming independent and strengthened. And as a result, 4 former presidents of Korea they did receive jail sentences. 2 of them were later pardoned.
Come on, Faraz, we are talking about strengthening the Supreme Court, the judiciary and all that. Don't forget the fact by 13th of this month, a new Supreme Court Chief Justice is needed. There's no mechanism, there's no proper mechanism to appoint a new Chief Justice. Where's the Constitutional Council?
Where is the Constitutional Council? Very nicely brought in there by you, Keerthi Tennakoon. What on earth is Mr. Sambandhan doing? Perhaps, I'll tell you what. I think that he must be... It's a joke, but it's not a joke. It's a serious matter. He must be easily the worst possible ever leader of the opposition.
He is not a real opposition leader to the parliament. And
do you know what? I'm asking you. I don't know. I don't know, so I'm asking you. I'm asking you a simple question. I hope that you have the answer. Do you think some of this bond money has gone towards him? Because everywhere you look, it's the bond money.
I don't have the wisdom of answering that question, by the way. But here we are having a very serious concern about the Constitution Council. Now, only 3 members, the Prime Minister, the Honorable Speaker, and the President's appointee is down there. Only 4 members now officially appointed to the Constitutional Council, so they don't have the quorum. So what does it mean? They cannot have a proper meeting of a Constitutional Council. So the members has to be elected, the members has to be appointed for the positions, and then only they can have a proper meeting. Why this is very important is we have to appoint another Chief Justice by 13th of this month. And we know that the Police Commission due to expire very soon.
But we also know this, Keerthi, don't forget that the AG, when he becomes 60, he's got to retire.
And right? There are more other cases.
But when you're in the Supreme Court, you can go on to 65. So I don't know. I'm just wondering whether the AG is going to be going to the Supreme Court. I don't know, but it's a possibility.
No one knows. No one knows. No one knows. So the real issue here, why these institutions are paralyzed. There's so much of criticism coming on the Inspector General of the Police, Mr. Pujita Jayasundar. There's a conspiracy investigation now on the assassination attempt on the president, the assassination attempt on the former president or plus the former defense secretary. These are very serious allegations. On the other hand, Digana incident, where Digana unfortunate incident which happens during the no confidence motion on Prime Minister is highlighted during the investigations. So where are we heading is the issue. Now the police commission, the directives coming from the police commission is not implemented by the police department. So the only institution who can interfere with this is Constitutional Council. So it is not operating. It is a non-operative. And the people like Sambandhan, the opposition leader, is not appointing his.
I think they're all in this for the holiday. I think the key difference here, and if we look at what happened in South Korea, where they jailed 4 former presidents elected by the people, you know what, Keerthi? They don't have an attorney general like we do in Sri Lanka. We don't have an attorney. They didn't have an attorney general who treated their leaders, their former presidents, with kid gloves and send them written questions. They were subject to a robust cross-examination, and which is fundamental part of the legal process. That's where you find information out. It's the most basic thing. And they've just completely disregarded that. And one blames the other, and the other blames the other, and the things just go under the carpet.
I mean, this government continuously coming up with various contradictory statements on whatever the subject it comes on. Whether it's economy, it's a social issue, it's a welfare, whether it's a weather,
yes,
anything. On garbage, the mayor of Colombo is saying something yesterday, we saw something totally different happening next day. So, I mean, where are we heading? There's no one to take serious responsibility. During the Mahinda Rajapaksa's time, I mean, one thing we have noticed, I mean, when an economic crisis or a concerning factor related to the economy, PB Chayasundara comes and speaks out. Whether we agreed or not is a different thing. It's an official version. Not a single public servant comes and explains what's the state of affairs related to these issues.
I quite agree with you. Do you know, look at the you know, they say charity begins at home. In that case, let's look at what happened to the United National Party. Their working committee, every section is paralyzed because they're filled up with the leader's choice. Oh yes, yes, that's part of the Constitution, so he can do it. But who fiddled around with the Constitution? Let's look at that. And that's where it happens. Like we say, charity begins at home. So within the party, he's practiced messing around and tinkering with the Constitution. Those guys in the working committee, they're nothing but they just do what their leader says because they're beholden to him.
And the same pattern now has come into the state, and the state is behaving the same way, it seems. So yes, sir. This attitude, I mean, when it comes to the very concerned sectors, now we are having a very big crisis with the economy. Who is handling, who is explaining, who is taking actions on this?
Malik
Samaravikrama, not a single senior public servant comes and explain it. And Iran Vikramaratne contradicts with Harsha, the two economic doers, so-called in the UNP government. And Malik Samaravikrama comes and tells a whole different story and make a picture.
And Keerthi, it looks like the governor of the central bank is also joining in the bandwagon, because now he says that the figures don't back up what people are saying. That's all nonsense. If you looked at our news last night, Newsfirst, the prime time news at 9 o'clock, if you look at that and you see, you'll see the facts and figures.
I mean, we have seen some of the officials coming up with figures which is extraordinary, which is contradicting the central bank reports itself. the reduction of the dollar reserve especially. Yeah, I mean, we don't know on how and on what subjects this, reduction has come out, but here we see the numbers. Anyone can get these numbers. So the numbers are definitely getting contradictory each and every day when ministers are speaking, when the governors are speaking. So we have to look into these cases and find out what exactly happening, what is the real state of economy, and what is the real state of the governance of the country.
You know, when it comes to the greatest financial scam that this country has suffered, the bond scam, it is absolutely incredible. The minister in charge of the subject of the central bank is not being questioned about this. He's not being held responsible. The minister who was in charge of the highways, who sent the letter saying that they needed money to pay the contractors, I'd like to see the proof that they actually did pay them, right? And Manik Samaravikraman. Who on earth are these people? These are the people who were involved in this thing. Instead, they are trying to hang it on a very convenient peg, and that peg's name is Ravi Karunanayake.
And I mean, it just not stop down there. It just go into the Lanka coal company deal. Right. I mean, everyone knows the daylight robbery has taken place down there. Some says this 150 million thing is coming with the Lanka coal company deal. And there's no investigations. 2.5 years we were fighting on this. No action has taken place.
It looks like we're going to have to take a very quick break, Keerthi, to interrupt you slightly. Don't go away, because we're going to have a short break, and we hope to come back to you with a clip in which we will explain to you what we mean when we say that the governor of the central bank is saying that the figures don't back up the claims that the economy is doing badly. Well, you know, we take issue with that. We are going to replay for your benefit the clip, and hopefully for the benefit of the governor of the central bank, that we are not talking rubbish. So we're going in for the break, and we'll come back with that clip from last night's news. Don't go away, this is Newsline.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
Welcome back to Newsline. Whilst the computers are waking up and getting that clip, we'll carry on with this. Keerthi, Tennakoon, do you remember a person by the name of Austin Fernando?
Very much.
Former presidential secretary.
Yes.
Do you remember what he did with the bond report? He sent it to the National Archives.
I was the one first who requested
Who
officially.
is he, Keerthi? Why did he do that? What right does he have to do that? Who does he think he is?
The issue here is very serious. We know that there's a very big investigation, very detailed investigation is going on at that particular time, and we knew it's 118 names down there, and it was backed by various investigators who had this particular information. And then when the investigations came into the second stage, we knew it has reached 164, if my memory is correct, and then at the moment it is with something like 213. 1.2 billion rupees were transferred from the perpetual treasurers to Mendy's company.
And thereafter it was distributed.
It is distributed. And all the scanned copies of the checks and the vouchers were taken into the custody. The investigations is having those documents. And they try to cross-check the vouchers, the original vouchers, which they found out which has been destroyed.
Do you think that they think they can get away with it just because they've got Kasan Palisin and Arjuna Aloysius behind bars? And Mahendran is dancing the merry jig wherever he's dancing. He wasn't in South Korea.
This is where the issue comes. Now, yesterday, according to this newspaper reports, Ravi Karunanayake is stepping in. Ravi Karunanayake is stepping in. Removing Ravi Karunanayake and putting Kasul Palisena and Arjuna and Losius behind the bars is not the end of this issue.
Thank you so much for saying that, because Ravi Karunanayake has become a very convenient stepping stone for the Prime Minister, for Kabir Hashim and for Malik Samaravikrama to step on. I'm not holding a brief for Ravi K, but what I am saying, I'm holding a brief for the Republic of Sri Lanka, for the people of Sri Lanka who have been completely stuffed. They've been robbed of this money, and all the Prime Minister and Malik and Kabir can say is that there has been no red cent lost to the state.
Faraz, you are absolutely correct. I have criticized Ravi Karunanayake in a lengthy way, but here, in this case, I think, we are having a very sympathy for him. He has become the scapegoat for most of these real culprits who's behind this treasury bond issue.
Well, it looks like the control room's having slight difficulty finding this clip from last night. But I think they're nearly getting it ready. Maybe we've got a couple more minutes. Let's just do this whilst they're looking for it, whilst we're waiting. The public is waiting. The Republic is waiting. But, Keerthi Tennakoon, the Republic of this country, the Republic of Sri Lanka, let's not forget the full title of our country's name, the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. Where is the democracy? Where is the accountability?
We don't have elections, right? There are 9 provincial councils in Sri Lanka. 4 out of them, by today morning, 4 out of them are non-functional. They are functioning without elected councillors. By end of this month, by 28th of this month, 6 out of 9 the provincial councils are operating without elected councillors. This is not democracy. The country, the government, present government cannot face an election. So the parties, the politicians who are leaders, who are supposed to run for elections, don't care about it, not taking it seriously. The opposition who think that they can come into power, they aren't concerned about the elections. Only the election commission and some...
Keerthi Tennakoon, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, and at the risk of being told off doing that, because I don't mean to interrupt you, but guess what? The clip's ready. Keerthi Tennakoon, thank you for having been on Newsline. Governor Indrajit Kumaraswamy, this clip is all for you.
Growth is too low. No two ways about it. But growth in the second quarter was higher than in the first quarter. And the growth in the second half of the year is going to be higher than in the first half of the year. So I don't see collapse. I see inadequate growth, and there's a lot we need to do to improve it, but it's not collapsing. It's actually on an upward trend. It doesn't help when people from Sri Lankans themselves keep saying when the economy is collapsing, when growth is low but going up, inflation is well within the target, reserves are adequate and are being built up. So where is this collapse? I really want to know, where is this collapse? And people going around saying the economy is collapsing are not being helpful. It is an extremely anti-nationalist thing to do, because they have to back it up with data. Back it up with data. By all means do that. But the data doesn't seem to indicate that.
Governor Indrajit Kumaraswamy said, I don't see the collapse. It does not help, he said, when Sri Lankans themselves are claiming a collapse when it doesn't. Governor Kumaraswamy said that there is no collapse and that it doesn't help that the interests of nationalism. Well, Governor Kumaraswamy, please do wake up, because guess what? The numbers, your numbers, don't lie. The numbers stack up. And the only thing you didn't say, Dr. Indrajit Kumaraswamy, a la Rajapaksas, you didn't call the people who are claiming that the economy are down, backed with figures, you didn't call them traitors. That's the only thing you didn't say. Looks like, Keerthi Tennakoon, we are going back to square one. On that note, Thank you for bearing with us during the look for that clip, but it, as you can see, it was very important. Take care, have a good day, think of those people affected by the floods, and God bless you.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.